Hey guys, you are watching and listening to another edition of K100 Sports. It's been a minute since we did one of these, and that is down to the fact that I stupidly decided to launch this show just before I went on holiday. Went to Ibiza, went to North Cyprus, couldn't really do any filming there, couldn't take my light there and whatnot. And that has delayed your latest episode, which is this one. We've also been delayed by Manchester United not making a decision on Erik ten Hag, or at least not making the decision I and many others expected them to make, which was to fire Erik ten Hag. I expected that I would be coming on and talking about his sacking, evaluating his time at the club, and looking forward to whoever stepped into the role, which I expected to be Ruud van Nistelrooy in an interim role. Man United haven't done that, which is a huge surprise, because the media narrative was that the games against Porto and Aston Villa would decide his future. He didn't win any of those games. Whilst he also didn't lose any of those games, I would have thought that he would have needed to win one and avoid defeat in the other. I felt like 4 points was the minimum that Ten Hag needed in that situation to keep his job. Yes, they were very difficult trips, and we've done well not to lose any of them. And if you compare those results to others we've had this season, and especially last season, where we finished 8th in the Premier League and were an absolute embarrassment in the Champions League, they do not look like bad results. Obviously, Ineos feel that way, which is why they've kept Ten Hag in the job. Additionally, if you look at the other options that we had, other than Van Nistelrooy coming in as a caretaker, there wasn't really anywhere for Manchester United to go. Mauricio Pochettino, who's been a long time linked to Man United, has now taken the USA job, so we won't be getting him. And Thomas Tuchel is now linked to the England job off the back of Lee Carsley having a disaster when England were at home to Greece due to a overemphasis on style of play, shall we say. And I'm going to talk a lot about style of play on this show, so buckle up for that. But ultimately, Thomas Tuchel looks to be heading towards England. Mauricio Pochettino looks to be heading, or is now the USA manager. So there really isn't anybody left for Manchester United on our list who we can immediately put in as a good fit. It would be very, very reactionary, but sometimes it's okay to be reactionary because we need some sort of reaction. We cannot continue to go down this path. We cannot stay on this trajectory where we're heading towards another mid-table season. 8th was bad enough last year. At the moment, we're sitting in the bottom half of the table after spending a ton of money in the summer. It's got to the point where some media outlets are linking us to a return to Alex Ferguson until the end of the season. Now, obviously that isn't going to happen. It's just clickbait bullshit. In fact, we've gone the opposite way when it comes to Sir Alex Ferguson, with Ineos actually relieving him of his duties, believe it or not, as an ambassador. So what was a nice way to easily put $250,000 a year into the pockets of our greatest manager, if not the greatest manager in the history of football, we have now stripped him of that money in his 80s, and we have decided that we are no longer going to be paying Alex Ferguson. A lot of Manchester United fans were anti-Glazier and were very high on Ineos, but I don't think they expected us to be taking the wages away from Sir Alex Ferguson, along with canteen staff and people around the club who earn £40,000 a year, ground staff and people like that. The cuts have been absolutely ridiculous when you factor in that Manchester United are paying the wages that they paid to Casemiro and Marcus Rashford to do absolutely nothing on a football pitch, whilst also spending the 200 million that I already addressed in the summer on players who aren't only not good enough to get us to challenging for the league, but don't even seem good enough to be getting us in the top 4. Now, I don't want to Monday morning quarterback this shit and pretend that I was against all of the signings. I was against some of them. I was supportive of some of them. I thought that signing Mazraoui and De Ligt would work. I felt like De Ligt had a bad time of it. I felt like going to Juve and playing under Allegri was the wrong club. And I felt like being back with Ten Hag, the man who made him as a player, was good for Matthijs de Ligt. And when we're looking at Ten Hag individually as a manager, many people forget that stint where he was the manager of Ajax and what he did with those players and where those players went on to play. Because Ten Hag didn't just build one team. He built two teams with Ajax And if you're sitting there looking at this video and saying, well, who gives a shit? Everybody wins the league in Holland and Scotland with Ajax, Celtic and Rangers. Well, do they? Because look at the state of Ajax since Erik ten Hag left the club. So if it's so easy, anybody can do it. And this man did it having got to a Champions League semi-final with a team that beat Juventus and Real Madrid. He then lost all of his players and then rebuilt a new team, a team which was, strangely enough, led by Anthony. An Anthony-led Ajax team dominated Dutch football once again. And also, let's not forget what this manager achieved in his first season. And like he always tells us, he has won 2 cups. But after the Tottenham defeat, I admit that I too was done with it, and I was looking for a change. But ultimately, that change isn't happening. And maybe Ineos have decided that there is no point, because the problem with this club is it seems to follow the same cycle. And here we are again. If we fire the manager, it's the same cycle. It's going to be a new manager inheriting the players of the old manager and probably inheriting a load of players that he didn't want. Well, we've just been there because Erik ten Hag inherited a load of players that he didn't want. And a lot of Manchester United supporters didn't want either. It took a long time, a lot of waiting for us to get rid of what we perceive to be toxic influences in the dressing room, when you're looking at the likes of Jesse Lingard and Paul Pogba and Anthony Martial, who are now all gone. Yet we find ourselves in the same situation because suddenly Manchester United isn't fixed with the perceived social media influencer players now out of the club. Manchester United aren't suddenly challenging for honours. Instead, we're sitting in the bottom half of the table. So a problem that was diagnosed by many doesn't seem to have been the root of the problem. And that is what we need to get to, is the root of the problem. But at the moment, we have to win football matches, and we have to do it with Erik ten Hag. Now, as I said, I have been a supporter of this manager. I do believe he is someone who knows how to win football matches. Whilst recently I have massively questioned some of his tactics, some of his substitutions, some of his responses to those have not helped him, such as taking off Marcus Rashford in the Porto game. I felt that was a very poor decision and a very poor explanation from Ten Hag, and was not supportive of that. But ultimately, this is a man who came in with a style of football, and he wanted to play it off the bat. And Manchester United were embarrassed in the first 2 games under Erik ten Hag, and he had to change to something else. What he changed to was enough for Manchester United to secure 3rd place and a trophy that season. And then he was given the money to buy his own players and implement his own style, which included signing Andre Onana as a goalkeeper and replacing David De Gea, which I feel is one of the biggest mistakes that we've made, because we've not been able to be successful with Ten Hag's style, which is a style where we want to play out from the back and we want to find direct passes when we can, with the fullbacks pushing up alongside the wingers and basically outnumbering teams on the opposite side of the pitch, allowing our goalkeeper or our holding midfielder to be a ball player in that situation, leaving Manchester United a numbers advantage up front, whilst also needing players who are able to get back and cover you in transition if you are going to gamble by pushing your fullbacks up alongside your wingers, and predominantly having 2 number 8s over 2 number 6s, therefore even getting rid of more protection that you want to offer your backline. So this is what he wanted to do. He wanted to play this risky front foot football, which he was successful at doing at Ajax, but very quickly realised it didn't work at Manchester. When I say quickly realised, have we even realised now? Have we even realised now at this point? Because we're still talking about it, and we're still talking about 2 games against Tottenham and against Liverpool, where Manchester United felt that pressure to play with a Manchester United identity, to play front foot football, to have men up the pitch, men who were incapable of coming back and covering the spaces, allowing Liverpool and Tottenham to both walk through us. And that's exactly what Tottenham did. If you look at the goal by Mickey van der Ven, he took it from back to front, 75 yards, strolled through our midfield, our attack mid, who was supposed to be the first line of the press, our attack midfield and defence, and was able to get a ball across when Manchester United were embarrassed and 1-0 down. Now, people can point to the red card of Bruno Fernandes, and I'd love to make that excuse as a Man United supporter, and I'd love to confidently say we were going to get back into that game. But the tactics are all wrong, and this obsession with style of play could end up losing Erik ten Hag his job. In a week where it's cost Lee Carsley the England job, Erik ten Hag really needs to take note that this is not the time to play the Manchester United way. Now, we know the way that we need to play to win football matches, which is why we won why we won the FA Cup last season. Manchester United were able to press inside our own half. They pressed from a position where they offered the back four some protection, and the only players that we were relying on to get back, who were the first line of the press in the opponent's half, were the attacking players who are supposed to be in those positions anyway. But we weren't overexposed with our fullbacks and our midfield being caught out. And you're only caught out if you don't have the capacity to get back. And from what we've seen in the games against Liverpool and Tottenham, these players don't have the capacity to get back. And that cannot be put on the manager. There is something fundamentally wrong if you don't want to play for the badge and you don't want to run for the shirt. If you don't want to run, and you need to be replaced. The problem is that we've already replaced a whole bunch of players that have gone out of the club. Someone like Scott McTominay, who had died for the badge. Not that I was a big fan of McTominay because ability-wise, I don't think he's a Manchester United player, although he is doing very well at Napoli at the moment. I do feel that we needed to bring in more quality, but quality also needs to be able to work hard, because as the old saying goes, hard work beats talent if talent doesn't work hard enough. And that is what we have at the moment, if these players are even talented, because at the moment it looks like we've signed a bunch of players who are moving in the wrong direction, because it's very different for Joshua Zirkzee to put on a Bologna shirt and be one of the best players in Serie A next season. And it's very different to come to Manchester United. It's very different for Ugarte to be a key player in Uruguay's midfield and then to be a key player in Manchester United's midfield. It's a very different version of Frankie de Jong, who was brimming with confidence in 2019, to the Frankie de Jong, that's the player we couldn't get, to the Matthias de Ligt that we currently have, who I thought would get his confidence back under the manager who gave it to him in the first place. But it looks like he is actually really a shell of the player that he once was, which is probably why he was sold by Juventus and now has subsequently been sold by Bayern Munich. So it's very, very worrying for Manchester United and Manchester United supporters. But the first thing that I would be doing is going to a style of play that I can trust. And that, whilst it may be a more conservative style of play, it does not allow teams to come to Old Trafford, where this is where it's been going wrong, because there's obviously more pressure. 75,000 Manchester United fans all behind you. Do you want to get men behind the ball? Do you want to sit midfielders in front of your back four? Do you want to concede ball possession? You don't. I get it. They're your supporters. You have to be seen as a front foot team. You have to justify your spending. But at the moment, these players have proven that they are not good enough. With bad results comes a dent in your confidence. They don't look like they're confident at the moment. They don't look like they believe in what they're doing. The manager's going to find it hard to make them believe in what he wants to do. And what's been the biggest indicator is the fact that we can't play this style. We can't implement what he wants to do against the bigger teams. It's all good and well bullying Barnsley and winning 7-0 and thinking that you've got it down. And then suddenly Tottenham and Liverpool come to Old Trafford, score 6 goals between them, and Manchester United have already suffered 2 very humiliating and humbling home defeats. So I would be looking at a results-based formation, a results-based style of play, trying to win football matches, trying to get points on the board, which is exactly what Lee Carsley should have done as the England boss. Now, Lee Carsley is not going to be the England manager because he prioritised style of play. He looked at the 6 games that he had in charge as the England boss and obviously realised that they were very winnable. And whilst they were very winnable, they also weren't necessarily going to win over the public, because the public opinion would obviously be that Gareth Southgate routinely won all of these games and did absolutely nothing at a major tournament. So in Lee Carsley's defence, I can understand why he went crazy and decided to do something completely different. Because obviously, when you look at football history, there's a lot of praise put on put on people who changed styles of play that were then copied by multiple managers moving forward. Johan Cruyff is somebody who implemented a style of play. If you look at the tiki-taka style of Spain in 2010, that suddenly became very popular and everybody was trying to buy ball-playing midfielders. Jose Mourinho came in with anti-football and decided to put in defence-first tactics where he would park the bus and look for opportunities to counter or win games with set pieces. Suddenly a lot of people were moving in that direction. Then we had Jurgen Klopp with the heavy metal press. You have Pep Guardiola suffocating the game, maintaining the ball possession, short passes, the firm belief that the ball will always move faster than the man, and it will. And we've seen a lot of these innovators come in. They're praised as geniuses continuously, and their styles are copied, and people attempt to implement them, and that is why they are seen as geniuses for being the first. And that is what I felt like Lee Carsley tried to do. He tried to be the English Klopp, the English Pep Guardiola. He tried to implement a brand new style of play, a brand new formation, and show everybody, show the public, show the FA, hey, you want your favourites in the team? You don't think that you can play Foden and Cole Palmer together? Well, this is how you can do it. And I've worked out how you can do it because I'm Lee fucking Carsley. Well, Lee Carsley will now go down as the man who tried to play the most players in the wrong possession and picked the messiest England team that we've seen for many, many years. For all your criticisms of boring Gareth Southgate, and he should never have been the England manager, and I still believe he has cost England the opportunity to win at least one major tournament, if not two, and another manager of higher quality would have won one of those tournaments, especially the Euro 2020. The route was as simple as could be. I always point to the fact that we talk about betting here, and the fact remains that Gareth Southgate never won a single game at a major tournament as an underdog. Anytime England were an underdog, even when the odds were close, Gareth Southgate failed as the England manager. His most significant win was against Germany in the round of 16, where England were a -200 favourite to qualify and 4-6 -150 on the money line. Anytime the odds were close, England failed. Anytime England were an underdog, England failed under Southgate. So for me, that tenure is not successful. Others will tell you otherwise. The history books will also tell you otherwise. The history books tell you officially he's the most successful England manager since Sir Alf Ramsey, who won the World Cup. But for me, that is a wasted period, and we cannot waste another period, and therefore we cannot give Carsley the job. And I think the FA know that, and I think they realise that. And I think they didn't want to be in that situation because I think they wanted to tell the public, after 6 games, we're going with Carsley. Carsley has won 6 games in a row. He's done everything that he needed to do. He's won 6 games out of 6. He has a 100% record as a manager. He's an English manager, and we are going to continue promoting within. Plus, it's a cheap investment for the FA because Carsley's wages are not Tuchel's wages or Klopp's wages or Pep's wages. So whilst many are still holding hope out for Pep Guardiola, as am I, and I do believe that could be on the table, but it all depends on Manchester City's court case and how that goes. If Manchester City are deducted a huge number of points or relegated, I believe that Pep Guardiola is very much live for the England job. But can England really wait and see if that's the case, given the result against Greece under Lee Carsley? Because that was a disaster. It was Lee Carsley's Johan Cruyff moment, his Pep Guardiola moment, his Jurgen Klopp moment, his opportunity to lift the stigma that surrounds English managers. And it does, because there is something there that in this country that indicates that foreign managers are better than English managers. Foreign managers are more trustworthy than English managers. This is why an English manager has never won the Premier League. Can you believe that? Let me repeat that. An English manager has never won the Premier League. So I don't know if you blame that on the English managers. I don't know if you blame that on the lack of opportunity given to English managers, but there is this belief that they cannot do the top jobs. And I think what Lee Carsley fell into and what he's guilty of and the trap that he fell into was to show people that he can do everything that these managers can do. He's been in football his whole life. He knows He knows how the game wants. He knows how he wants to play the game. He knows how to win matches because he's been successful at a lower level with England's younger side, and he wanted to show everybody that he knows exactly how to get all of these players on the pitch. That he is a free-thinking manager. That he has unbelievably revolutionary ideas. That we don't need a foreign manager to come in and do this job because Lee Carsley can do everything that they can do. And in the end, it was a disastrous moment. I almost felt sorry for him because he was guaranteed almost to be the manager because we knew and he probably knew that he only had to win 6 games. But what if he could get universal public support? What if he could be praised by the media and pundits as a genius? What if he could be the man to get all your favourite players on the pitch and absolutely dominate this game against Greece and have 75% of the ball and a 4.5 XG. What if he could do that with these players? That's what he ended up thinking. That was his undoing. And due to an obsession with style of play, which is rife in football at the moment, Lee Carsley's not going to be the England manager. So this is a football heavy show. I'm going to do another show this week where I talk more about the NFL and kind of evaluate where we're up to with the season so far and my thoughts. I just want to tell a quick little NFL story to close out because guys in my group chat are asking me about it. And it relates to Caleb Williams. Now, I live in an area where I am situated 10 miles away from where the 2 NFL hotels are. So I often tell people that my son wanted to grow up supporting Tottenham because Tottenham and West Ham are the most local teams to us. He's not a fan of driving to Manchester. He gets car sick in the passenger side, which is something that I still suffer from. If someone else is driving, I tend to get car sick, and that seems to be something I've passed on to him. I'm fine with flying, and so is he, but he gets travel sick, so he doesn't enjoy the trips to Manchester. We also often don't enjoy what we're seeing there because Man United are a bit of a mess at the moment. So, but even from a young age, he wanted to support Tottenham because they're a fairly decent team, and kids in his school support Tottenham, and they are 20 minutes from our house. So the 2 NFL hotels are also approximately 20 minutes from our house. So my first visit down there was to meet Aaron Rodgers, my all-time favourite NFL player, not just my favourite quarterback. That was obviously aided by some of his medical beliefs 4 years ago, along with Novak Djokovic, 2 athletes who stood up against the pharmaceutical industry, and their beliefs aligned with my beliefs, and my fandom of both those 2 became a lot stronger based on that. So I wanted to go and meet Aaron Rodgers, but as things have sort of moved forward over the years, and I know exactly where those hotels are, and it's all public as well, because where they actually go and practice is public. So they leave their hotel and then they walk onto public property, and they all practice at pretty much the same time. So it's not a chore. It's not a chore to go out and get these photos and get these autographs, which I know are a lot harder to obtain in the States. So we've had success with it. There hasn't actually been a single player that has said no, from Josh Allen to Trevor Lawrence to Derrick Henry to 2 occasions meeting Aaron Rodgers. We have been successful with these trips. One thing is worth noting is that everybody who has been photographed with my son Austin and who has taken these pictures and signed autographs, they are 0-5 in the games. Derrick Henry lost, Josh Allen lost, Aaron Rodgers lost twice, and Trevor Lawrence also lost this weekend. So maybe somebody got in Caleb Williams' ear, and maybe that was the reason why Caleb Williams was the first player to refuse. And the story begins where we go to where the Bears are practicing, and Caleb Williams turns up, and Austin asks him for a photo, and Caleb Williams goes, "I just got to get to practice. I'll catch you afterwards." So you take it and say, okay, there's nothing, you can't say anything else other than okay. There's no choice there. Did I believe he could have just done it there and then and it would have taken 30 seconds? Yeah, sure. But if he wants to get to practice first, if he's in game mode or whatever, whatever these guys say they're in, then that's absolutely fine. But he said he's going to do it on the way back. Suddenly, 2 Bears representatives show up and ask us why we're waiting there. And we tell them my son wants to meet Caleb Williams, to which they say, oh no, you won't be able to. Caleb won't be signing anything today, he's too busy. To which I told him, well, he said he would do it afterwards. And they went, yeah, he won't be, sorry, he's not allowed. So I turned around to them and said, okay, we'll just go and watch the practice anyway and see what happens afterwards. So I go and watch the practice like we normally do. There's a place that you can stand, which is actually more concerning, because rather than being concerned about somebody there trying to get a picture and an autograph, would you not be more concerned that your public has access to watch your practice, and the public and someone from the public could be a part of the Jacksonville Jaguars and could essentially film or view and film your entire playbook? That would be more of a concern, rather than a kid and his dad and a couple of other kids who are there as well trying to get an autograph or a picture. But anyway, their priorities were clearly to stop us from meeting Caleb Williams. So I'm watching the practice, and suddenly I find myself surrounded by men in suits all around the practice field, to which I ask him, is this all for me? And the security guard goes, yeah, we were called to make sure that you didn't try and run up to the player, which I would never do. Absolutely ridiculous. But obviously they don't know. So Caleb Williams has gone in and alerted 2 Bears representatives that there's a kid and his dad trying to get an autograph. And they have alerted 7 security guards who are surrounding us around the practice pitch. So anyway, practice finishes, we go back and stand by our spot, which has been successful for us for 3 years. And Caleb Williams comes out, and Austin asks him again, and he goes, hey guys, and we ask for the autograph, and he turns around and says, not right now guys, or something to that effect.
Caleb!
What's up guys?
Hey. Caleb, can you sign for the kid please?
Sorry, not right now.
So I don't know the ins and outs of the situation. I don't know if it's contractual. I don't know if an agent's involved, or I just don't know if this guy is a prick who already thinks that he's the next Michael Jordan of Chicago. I have no idea. But what I do know is that Caleb Williams was the first guy to say no. But what I also know is that Caleb Williams went on to win the game. So perhaps there is some sort of insider knowledge that the kid is some sort of jinx that will lose you the game, considering 100% of the people that took the photo with him have gone on to lost the game. So perhaps Caleb did himself the biggest favour in the world. But in all seriousness, very confusing why it wasn't done immediately. You're never entitled to these things. You're never entitled to a photo with anybody. You're not entitled to a photo with any celeb or person of public interest, or you're not entitled to an autograph. You're never entitled to anything. As the woman from this bitch from the Chicago Bears kept saying to us, oh, free will. And it's like, listen, I'm not even arguing. I'm not one who's going to cause an argument over these things. I'm just going to watch what happens, see how it plays out, and then come out with my story. 5 times out of 6, my story has been that X, Y, or Z has been a lovely person. Particularly, I'm not sure who was nicer actually, Aaron Rodgers or Derrick Henry, but they're definitely in the top 2, not just for the NFL, but in terms of sports people that my son has met. And he's met a lot, because this is a hobby that we're interested in. Despite what you may think about it, I know a lot of people are very anti-autograph and kind of see it as a form of stalking, which, yeah, that's fine. Like, if you have that opinion, you're entitled to it. I've been on both ends of it. Like, I'm now taking my son out to get the autographs. I've signed autographs and done pictures at the height of my fame. Never gave a shit about it. Never questioned people about it. Whilst at the same time, when I was around these famous people, it was interesting, because I never actually got, not that I was the equivalent of these people, but when I was invited to the same type of events as famous people, sports people, when I went to my club nights and was on a weekly basis surrounded by players from Arsenal, Chelsea and Tottenham, never once did I get autographs. I have pictures but I don't have autographs from those times. So it is a little bit of a weird one where you almost feel like it will hurt your standing, it will hurt your reputation, it will hurt your credibility, especially when I came off television, I was working as a club promoter, and I felt like it would hurt me to get these pictures or to get these autographs, or it would be seen as a geeky thing to do. Well, fast forward to now, and I can be that geek, and I can put this shit on my walls and enjoy looking at it and enjoy getting it, and particularly enjoy doing it with my son. So yeah, Caleb Williams, first ever one to say no. Don't understand why, don't understand what happened, don't understand why he called people from the Bears, don't understand why they called 7 security guards, don't understand the entire situation, but it is what it is, and we move forward. And next year, hopefully, we have nicer teams coming to London where we were able to get a full house of people that we want. I think the number one person my son wants would be the Chiefs and Mahomes. So if anybody knows what he's like in person, just shoot off in the comments, or shoot off in the comments about what you think of this situation, and or anything that we've addressed. The Lee Carsey situation, Eric Ten Hag, Manchester United, autographing Caleb Williams, whatever you want, comments are there. That's it for this episode. I will be back in just a few days, actually, just to get the ball rolling with this and to talk about the NFL and my thoughts relating to the season so far. Until then, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.